Instead of spending $200 on a chainsaw, why not just buy an attachment for your drill? There's so many different types of drill attachments out there, and today we're going to test a whole bunch of them. Let's get the testing underway and see how they perform. At a price of only $24 is this chainsaw attachment. Convert your electric drill into a chainsaw. Made of premium ABS and alloy steel. You can mount the handle in 2 different locations. The manufacturer claims you can cut wood, plastic, and even steel pipe. Made in China. Before we test the chainsaw attachment, let's see how fast I can cut through a 2x4 using a Stihl PS70 handsaw. And the handsaw takes some effort, but it's making pretty quick work. And it's 6.34 seconds to make the cut. I'll go ahead and oil the bar and chain on the chainsaw attachment. I'll make 3 cuts with moderate force, and then I'll see if I can break the chainsaw with a lot of force. 3.5 seconds on the first cut. And the second cut is faster than the first one at 3 seconds. And it's 3.34 seconds on the third cut for an average speed of 3.3 seconds. And this Milwaukee drill is a beast. 1.95 seconds on the first cut. And it's 2 seconds on the second cut. And the chainsaw actually survived the torture test. Once again, 2 seconds. I previously put together a review on these compact chainsaws, and the Stihl GTA 26 did a pretty good job and cost around $180. It comes with a 2 amp hour battery. Just like the drill attachment, the Stihl does not have an automatic chain oiler, so the chain has to be oiled before use. It comes equipped with a 4-inch bar. I'll go ahead and lubricate the bar and chain on the Stihl. And the Stihl has more chain speed, but it makes a lot less power than the Milwaukee drill. 3.23 seconds. And the Stihl saw made the cut in 3.65 seconds on the second pass. And it's 3.6 seconds on the third cut for an average time of 3.5 seconds. On a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being sketchy and 5 being legit, I'd give this chainsaw attachment a 4. It's very light duty and it's just not going to last. However, for under $20, it's a pretty good deal. At a price of $24 is this sheet metal cutting attachment. It claims to have a faster cutting speed than other sheet metal cutting tools. It cuts steel plate up to 1.2 millimeters. It can also be used for cutting cardboard as well as aluminum plate. Made in China. Let's begin with some aluminum flashing, which should be very easy to cut, and then we'll cut some sheet metal. And the cutter attachment made very quick and easy work of the aluminum flashing. However, it did leave the edge of the cut wrinkled. It's probably not a problem for most applications, but something to consider. At a price of $63 is this Malco TS1 Turbo Shear, which is also designed to cut sheet metal. Metal thickness up to 20 gauge. It claims it can navigate tight patterns and square cuts. Turn your power drill into a power shear. It does require that the drill make 1200 RPM. The Malco is made in USA. And cutting with the Malco seems just as easy as the first metal cutter. And the Malco left a near perfect edge without wrinkles. And the Malco can make a pretty fast cut, but the edge of the cut just isn't quite as smooth as a cut made at a slower rate. I thought it'd be very interesting to compare the drill-powered aviation snips against some manual snips. At a price of $38 are these aviation snips that are made by Midwest. The Midwest aviation snips are made in USA. It has a forged blade and cushioned power comfort grips. And the Midwestern aviation snips made very easy work of the metal flashing with minimal effort. The cut is also very smooth without leaving an edge with wrinkles. These are 20 gauge metal scraps from the MIG welding review. And the cutter made very easy work of the 20 gauge metal. The cutters can definitely make a lot faster cut. However, the cutter did leave behind track marks on the 20 gauge metal, but overall it made a very good cut. I need to get close into the bench, so I'll remove the handle since it's in the way. And the cutter made very easy work of the 20 gauge metal. There's a slight bend on both ends, but no track marks when cutting from this direction. And the Malco made very easy work of the 20 gauge steel. The overall quality of the cut does seem to be a little bit better than the previous cutter. And it took me quite a bit longer to make the cut with the Midwestern cutters, but they do a really good job. It made a very nice and clean cut. Let's test out the cutters on some landscape edging that's around 16 gauge thickness. And once again, the cutters made very easy work of the sheet metal. And the Malco cutters are not designed for metal this thick, but let's do it anyway. This stuff's pretty thick, and I'd usually use an angle grinder to make the cut. And it definitely takes quite a bit more effort to cut through the landscape edging compared to the other drill-powered cutters. However, the Malco cutters held up just fine. And it definitely takes quite a bit of hand strength with the manual cutters, but they held up just fine. Just like the chainsaw attachment, I'll give this one a 4, and I'd also say it's a pretty good value at around $24. The Malco snips are very well designed and definitely built to last. In my opinion, I'd give this one a 5. The Midwest Aviation snips definitely deserve a 5. So all 3 cutters passed the test. For only $19, you can turn your drill into a circular saw. The circular saw can also double as an angle grinder. Unfortunately, the saw did not come with assembly instructions, but it is pretty simple to put together. A few nuts, bolts, and about 5 minutes of assembly, and the circular saw is ready for action. The build construction seems very light duty, but then again, the cost is under $20. You can even cut at an angle. Maximum cutting depth is about 1 inch. Made in China. To serve as a comparison, let's first make a cut through 1-inch oak using a cordless Milwaukee circular saw. 1.3 seconds to make the cut. As a right-handed person, holding the drill with the left hand and holding the saw with the right seems a bit awkward. And the circular saw is vibrating quite a bit and seems pretty sketchy to say the least. The cut made by the attachment is on the bottom and the Milwaukee saw is on the top. and it's a much smoother cut by the Milwaukee saw. And there's quite a bit of wobble with the output shaft and the blade. This circular saw is very sketchy. On a 1 to 5 scale, I'd give this thing a 0 if it was possible. At a price of around $20 is this reciprocating saw attachment. Comes with 2 different blades. The manufacturer claims it can handle wood as well as cutting metal. There aren't any instructions, but I think I have to take this thing apart to install the blade. A standard reciprocating saw blade should work just fine in this attachment. The blade is clamped in place using 2 screws. The setup just doesn't seem like a very secure way to retain the blade. Made in China. And the brand new wood cutting blade that came with this saw just doesn't seem to be sharp enough for cutting efficiently. About 20 seconds to make the cut. Let's try to cut through the steel dowel using a metal cutting blade. And the blade quickly ran out of steam about halfway through the steel dowel. Unfortunately, the tool is poorly designed for blade retention and the blade is poor quality as well. I went ahead and purchased a different style of reciprocating saw for around $20. It claims to be hard to break or damage. We're going to test that. The manufacturer claims that this is a durable and reliable tool that can be used for a long life. They claim it's made of a high quality ABS plastic and steel material which has a high hardness and strength. Made in China. This saw uses a T-shank jigsaw blade. The position of the drill and the side handle on the tool makes this setup very inefficient. Using the wood cutting blade, 23 seconds to make the cut is around 3 seconds slower than the other saw. And the metal cutting blade ran out of steam very quickly. And the tool survived, but the blade did not. I definitely like this attachment better than the last one, but buying some quality blades would really help. I previously tested reciprocating saws, so let's see how this Humdinger brand compares. And the Humdinger with the Milwaukee axe blade made very quick work on the board in 5.6 seconds. Let's see how the Humdinger performs on a metal dowel with a Diablo carbide blade. 3.3 seconds to make the cut. This reciprocating saw had a very difficult time of holding onto the blade, and it's pretty light duty. For those reasons, I'd give it a 2. This reciprocating saw definitely seems better designed than the previous one. However, it is still pretty light duty, and I'd give this one a 3. I also purchased a couple of attachments for removing rust. The first of the 2 attachments is this Nylox 80 grit flat brush. It claims that it lasts longer and is safer to use than a wire brush. Made in China. When it comes to removing paint from wood, the flat brush definitely won't win any speed races. However, it actually did a pretty good job at removing the paint and leaving behind a pretty smooth surface. At a price of $25 is this roto stripper as seen on TV. The manufacturer claims you can turn your drill into a fast, efficient paint stripper. Quickly removes paint, varnish, and rust from wood, metal, and masonry. It claims to have miracle fingers of new space-age carbon steel alloy. And there's quite a bit of size difference between the 2 different brands. Made in China. If you buy the roto stripper, I highly recommend wearing some high-quality safety glasses. It's a pretty sketchy setup. And the manufacturer of the roto stripper claims that it quickly removes paint from wood. Unfortunately, they forgot to mention that it also removes a lot of wood with the paint. Now that's a lot of damage. To serve as a comparison, let's see how a Milwaukee orbital sander with 120 grit sandpaper performs. And the Milwaukee sander makes very quick work of sanding the wood, and it's even faster than the flat brush. Let's test the sanders on painted metal. And the flat brush is removing the paint, but it is a very slow tool for this purpose. About 18 seconds to remove the paint from a very small area. And the roto stripper is more than twice as fast as the flat brush on the painted metal. However, it does cause some pitting in the metal. And the Milwaukee sander with 120 grit sandpaper seems just as fast as the roto stripper. However, the flat brush and the Milwaukee sander leave a very smooth finish. Rusty metal can be very hard to deal with. And the flat brush is really struggling on the rusty metal, and some of the brushes are coming off. And the roto stripper seems to be performing about the same as the flat brush, and it's just not performing very well. Of the 3 options, the Milwaukee sander seems to be performing the best. Unfortunately, this flat brush just did not hold up very well and was not very effective. I'd give this a 2. When it comes to removing paint on wood, I'd give the roto stripper a 1. If you need something for removing paint or rust on metal, I'd give it a 2. If you've ever had to dig a post hole, why not just put an auger on the end of a drill? This Maxino brand cost $24 for 4 different auger bits, made in China. And the ground is very dry and hard. And the smallest auger made very quick work of making a hole. I'll go ahead and change the drill speed to the slowest setting. And the longest of the 4 augers did a great job. About 24 seconds to dig the hole. If you buy this attachment, you'll definitely want a very powerful drill with a side handle. And the largest auger has a rounded tip and is performing very poorly and not making progress. Definitely not a good design for ground that's very dry and hard. I also thought it'd be very interesting to try out a much larger auger bit. At a price of $34 is this J's Rod auger. It augers a hole that's 18 inches deep and 4 inches wide. Made in China. At 18 inches in length, the auger will really put this drill to the test. The tip of the auger is flat and pointed, which should really help. The auger is very large, but the pointed tip is really helping the auger make progress. Considering the hardness of the ground, I'm really impressed with the auger. Definitely a great tool if you have a powerful enough drill. I don't like the design of this auger, but the other three perform fairly well. I'd give this set of augers a 4. Compared to using some jobbers to dig a hole, this is a much faster approach. It does take some patience and a very large drill. I'd give this tool a 5. Is it possible to turn your drill into a water pump? The Drill Pump 750 is supposed to move 750 gallons per hour. The maximum RPM is 2,800. It claims to be self-priming up to 12 feet. It's designed to fit a standard garden hose. It also claims it can lift water from 4 feet in depth. Made in China. The instructions call for disassembling the tool after each use to apply some lubricant. Instead of using a spray lubricant, they recommend a good silicone grease. With the drill in the highest gear, the water pump is moving quite a bit of water, and the DeWalt needs about 37 seconds to move very close to 5 gallons of water. Not quite 750 gallons, but that's pretty close to 500 gallons of water in an hour. Let's see if the Milwaukee drill is any faster. And the Milwaukee seems to be holding RPM a little bit better than the DeWalt. And the Milwaukee transferred all the water in about 35 seconds or about 2 seconds faster than the DeWalt. It's a very compact size, which makes it very nice to have on hand. At around $12, it is a good value, but it's just not designed to last. Considering the price and the performance, I'd give the drill pump a 4. At a price of $20 is this external chamfer drill bit deburring tool. It has 3 flute carbide blades for steel. It deburrs anything from 1/8 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch or 3 millimeters to 19. Made in China. This bolt has a conical shape at the starting end of the thread. I'll go ahead and cut off the end of the bolt and see if the chamfer tool can restore the conical shape. And that left behind a very sharp edge, and it's going to be very difficult to get the nut started. And it took 5 seconds to remove the excess material. And the sharp edges of the bolt have been removed. And the nut threads onto the bolt very easily. And the chamfer tool is still in very good condition, definitely a legit tool. Considering the price and performance of the deburring tool, I'd give this tool a 4. It performed fairly well, but $20 seems a little bit too much. At a price of $10 is this cutting wheel set. The set includes 8 different pieces. The mini saw blades are made of high-speed steel. It claims to be great for cutting the inside of a PVC pipe. It's designed to be used inside of a drill or a Dremel rotary tool. Made in China. And it's very hard to maintain good control over a blade on the end of a drill. Things became very squirrely very quickly when trying to cut through the outside of a PVC pipe. On the other hand, the blade is a lot easier to manage when making a cut from inside the pipe. Considering price and performance, I'd give this tool a 2. It just doesn't seem like it's worth the money. For a price of $25, you can buy this 25-piece metal cutoff wheel kit. Continually sharpens as it cuts. These are 3-inch wheels that have a 0.047-inch thickness. The kit does not include the screwdriver. Made in China. A grinding disc on the end of a drill is very difficult to control with the side-to-side loading of the cutting wheel. An angle grinder allows one to manage the cut while staying in direct line with the push and pull force of the grinder. And the cutoff wheel did experience quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, the quality of these cutoff wheels is pretty poor. I'd give this a 2. The scrub brush is made by Rubbermaid and costs $10. Let's see how it performs compared to the brushes used on the drill. We want to make this test as tough as possible, so I'm just going to use water without any soap. Using a scrub brush is very effective at cleaning up the sidewall, but it's a very slow process at around 25 seconds for a very small area. At a price of only $6 is this drill brush attachment set. It includes 4 different brushes. The manufacturer claims it can scrub anything from your bathtub to your car wheels. Made in China. And the brush attachment on the end of the drill is making very quick work at cleaning up the tire. It did about twice as much work in less than half the time. Very impressive. Considering the price of only $6 and the performance, I definitely give this a 5. My goal is always to help people save time and money, and hopefully this review has done just that. Hopefully you'll know which attachments to avoid and which ones are worth buying. All the videos in this channel, including this one, are viewer suggested. So if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Please take care, and I look forward to next time.